Let me tell you what amounts to a beautiful day in my business. There's a Cowboy item to talk about. There's a LeBron James item to talk about. Unfortunately, there's some other stuff involving Von Miller to talk about. There's Ryan Garcia, former boxing champion. He's got a lot on his mind. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you heard the news, but there was a debate that went on between state governors in California and Florida, and Jussie Smollett is making news. Lord have mercy. The Stephen A. Smith Show coming your way right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming to you at the very least 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube. As you can tell, I'm in my new studio, thanks to our official studio sponsor, FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook, the official studio sponsor of the Stephen A. Smith Show. I'm standing because I just felt like walking around. I ain't feel like sitting to start off the show today, okay? That's what I want to do. That's what you enabled me to do because you support the show so much. I'm able to do things like this. And by the way, speaking of that support, always wanting to take time to thank you for the love and support you've been giving me with your subscriptions. Because right now we've exceeded over 416,000 subscribers in the first 8 months. We're just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. Keep the love coming. We're going to keep on coming. By the way, make sure to like and follow the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on YouTube. Just click the bell to get notified of all of our new content. And while you're doing that, please don't forget to pick up a copy of my New York Times best-selling book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes. As usual, I'll be taking your calls at the end of the show, along with your tweets. So feel free to tweet me at Stephen A. Smith, and of course, call in right here at 888-727-5303. That's 888-SAS-5303. Needless to say, I'll start off with the Dallas Cowboys, because you know, when you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, here's the issue. Everybody's just bloviating about this guy. I mean, just stop the presses. He's an MVP candidate, okay? I mean, it's so touching. It's so touching. The Dallas Cowboys played the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday night football to be exact, and obviously they were victorious with a 41-35 win at home to move their record to 9-3 on the season. For once, they didn't beat up on a last-place team. Let's give them love and respect for that, okay? They've scored over 40 points 5 times this season. Nobody else in the league has done it more than twice. But I'd like to remind y'all for a second here, while we're bloviating about the Cowboys, about beating a team like this, let me remind you of something. 2 of those 40-point performances came against the New York Giants. Another one did come against the Rams, that's true. Another one did come against the Washington Commanders. And then, of course, you had last night. And this brother is playing some big-time football. There's no doubt about that. When you think about quarterback completion percentage, when you think about his QBR, when you think about his quarterback rating, it's tops. We haven't seen Dak Prescott play like this maybe ever. Maybe ever. But I got news for you. Even though the win may seem impressive, did you notice that the Dallas Cowboys gave up 35 points? Do you know that they've been giving up an average of 35 points over the last, I'm sorry, I was going to say the last 3 weeks or so, but that's not accurate. It's against the Eagles, it's against the 49ers, it's against Seattle. Why do I bring that up? Because those were teams with winning records. So when you go against scrubs, when you go against teams mired in last place, yeah, you're doing big things. But when you go against credible competition, all of a sudden, there's holes in your defense. Look at this right here. Look at their wins right here. The Giants twice, the Jets, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Rams, the Panthers, the Commanders. Not the Commodores with Lionel Richie. Hello? Is it me you're looking for? No, not the Commodores, the Commanders, okay? And now you got the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, what, you want a cookie? You want a cookie, really? I'm looking at this. Now, this is their remaining schedule. The Eagles, the Bills, the Dolphins, the Lions, and the Commanders again will wipe that last game out these next 4 weeks. Now, if you see Dallas doing now, and they continue to do what they're doing now over the next 4 weeks, I'll stand down, albeit momentarily. Because I got news for you, Dallas Cowboy fans. Dak Prescott is a leading candidate for league MVP. Do I think that he hovers over Jalen Hurts? Well, that depends. If he beats Jalen Hurts next weekend, that'd be different, or this weekend rather, that'd be different. If he doesn't, no siree. It's that simple. But even if that happens, even if Dak Prescott continues to light it up on a football field, I will remind you that September, October, November, and December, he always wins during those months, especially the month of December, before nosediving in January. I love it when y'all talk about him and the Cowboys like they're a finished product, like they've arrived, like, oh my God, everything that just happened, it's not going to happen anymore. We're not going to lose in the first round. We're not going to get bounced out in the playoffs. Guess what? We're going to win the Super Bowl. You know we're going to win the Super Bowl next year, right? That's what Cowboy fans do. And you've been doing it since 1995. And you haven't even been back to an NFC championship game, let alone the Super Bowl. He looks really good here. Don't he look good? Look at him flexing. Just flexing. You see him flexing. It's beautiful to see. Now. But you Cowboy fans out there know. And it ain't just from Stephen A. Smith. It's from this dude called Southern Steve. You know where I'm going, right? Y'all can talk all that nonsense all you want to. But down yonder there, in the new year, in the month of January, when the games really count and the playoffs matter, and Jerry Jones is taking an additional look at the dust on that birth certificate, blowing it and wiping it off, you're going to have to show up. And we know you won't. That's Stephen A. saying that. Could I be wrong? Sure. But I've been right for 28 straight years. Most of y'all would bet on me before you bet on the Cowboys. And you know it. I'll see you in the new year. Let's move on. Another subject, transitioning, hard transition, is to Buffalo Bills linebacker Von Miller. That brother right there. Super Bowl champion 2015 with the Denver Broncos. Super Bowl champions a couple of years ago with the Los Angeles Rams. One of the elite pass rushers the game has ever seen. Well, I don't know if you heard the news, but he recently turned himself into authorities on Thursday after he was accused of assaulting a pregnant woman, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. Now, just to get the intel nuggets out of the way, Miller turned himself into the Glen Heights Police Department hours after the warrant was issued, and he immediately posted $5,000 bond and was released. Why am I bringing this subject up? Because recently, over the last few days, I had to address a subject involving Josh Giddey of the Oklahoma City Thunder of the National Basketball Association. So considering that and juxtaposing that to this story about Josh Giddey compared to Von Miller, I want to take a moment to explain to everyone the difference of why we, meaning people in the media, can discuss this matter and not the drama that is surrounding NBA player Josh Giddey. I showed him there. You saw his face. You see his face right now. He's been accused of messing around with an underage girl. But in his case, ladies and gentlemen, there's an investigation. The NBA isn't talking. He's not talking. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the NBA team he plays for, is not talking. The family nor the girl he's alleged to be involved with are talking. No one knows. So when that report comes out, and there's an investigation and an allegation, that is all you could say. In the case of Von Miller, it's a different animal. Because Von Miller had a warrant out for his arrest. Law enforcement filed papers. Law enforcement forced and compelled him to turn himself in, where he was ultimately able to post bond and depart. And now the National Football League is looking into it because they have something called the Commissioner's Exempt List, where ultimately you can get yanked off the field and not allowed to play. So you see why we would be able to talk about that a bit more extensively than the conjecture that we would have to rely upon if we were talking about Josh Giddey. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. I want you to understand there's a difference. And I want the players out there. I want the professional athletes, the former professional athletes like the Des Bryants of the world, to take these notes. We might sit up there and judge what we're seeing. We might sit up there and even have the temerity, the unmitigated gall to tell you what we think you should have done based on your exploits and what you could bring to the table. But you know what we would never do? Go out onto the field and try to show you what the hell you should be doing. Y'all don't understand. That's the equivalent of what y'all doing hopping on social media trying to tell journalists how to be journalists. You can't say everything. Every truth isn't made to be told prematurely. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes that's the way it goes. That's all I was trying to say, Des. I don't want to disrespect you. I don't want to come at you the wrong way, got too much respect and adulation for you. I just want you to know, stepping into this lane where you're trying to tell journalists like Malika Andrews and others how they're supposed to do their jobs, proclaiming that they did it one way for somebody without doing it some way for another, without having all of the information available to you, just ain't wise, my brother. It just ain't wise. Let us move on. Before I get on out of here and go to commercial break and bring back my interview with former lightweight champion Ryan Garcia, I'd be remiss in neglecting to bring up the one and only LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers because of something he recently told reporters about his eldest son, Bronny James. For those of you who don't know, Bronny James plays in his first basketball game for USC. If that were to happen on a day when the Los Angeles Lakers are also scheduled to play, LeBron James made it very, very clear he would not choose to play with the Lakers because instead he would look to go and watch his son play. Listen to LeBron James' explanation here, please.
You know, looking forward to his first game whenever he's cleared and whenever he's ready to have his first game. I already told my teammates that if they play on the same day we play, then I'm gonna have to catch them next game. So
Damn right.
Yeah, I told you I'm gonna play.
That's right.
Family over everything, champs. I love y'all.
Family over everything. He's absolutely right. Now, we know about the heart issue that Bronny James had months ago, where he collapsed and ultimately had to be rushed to the hospital. And LeBron James and the LeBron James family rushed to the hospital to be by his side to make sure that he was okay. We didn't know whether or not he was going to be okay, to be quite honest with you. We're still devoid of the proper explanation as to exactly what happened to him. Nevertheless, the best medical coverage anybody could buy in all likelihood, medical treatment anybody could buy in all likelihood, was obviously accorded to him, and he seems back, spry as ever, and ready to go sooner than later for the USC Trojans, who are 5-2 on this season. Personally, I think he's a wonderful kid. I wish him nothing but the best. I never talk about Bronny James much because I know with your dad being one of the top 2 players in the history of basketball, everybody's going to look to scrutinize this kid, and I never wanted to add on top of that, at least prematurely. Once he elevates himself, he's playing college basketball, you analyze him. He ends up being good enough to go pro, you analyze him a bit more, and the gloves come off, and you got to call it like you see it. But I always wanted to give a kid like him the chance to go out there and perform. But really, the reason I brought this subject up is because of LeBron James. Of course he's supposed to go see his son, because you're going to have some trolls out there. You're going to have some ignorant-ass people out there sitting up there acting like, yeah, man, you're supposed to go play for the Lakers. Oh, no. There are exceptions to every rule. I'll be the first to admit to you, if Anthony Davis wanted to go see his son play, even though I would still support him too, I'd have more to say about that because, damn it, you miss enough time working. And even when you're on the court, you're a roller coaster. I need consistency. Boy, in LeBron James, we're talking about a dude that's a 4-time champion, a 4-time league MVP, a man that went to 10 straight NBA finals, a man that wears the marquee, not just of his team, but of the entire NBA on his shoulders. and is the preeminent figure in the National Basketball Association, if not the entire sports world, spanning more than a decade. And the load that he has to carry on his shoulders, he's earned the right to take time off without excuses. But if you're going to have an excuse, it doesn't get any better than this. I can't deny it. Everybody should want to see Bronny James when he debuts for the USC Trojans. I know I'd want to see him. And if I feel that way, and if most folks out there feel that way, imagine how his daddy is supposed to feel. Congratulations to LeBron James and his lovely wife and kids. Support that young man. Bronny James, go handle your business, baby. Wishing you nothing but the best. When we return, it's time for me to speak to junior welterweight contender, the one and only Ryan Garcia, on his upcoming fight against Oscar Duarte. Spoke to him a few days ago. Make sure I'm going to air that interview for you now, because he's fighting tomorrow night, and I can't wait to see him try to avenge his defeat to Gervonta Davis. It ain't a direct vengeance. That's not going to happen. He's not fighting Gervonta Davis, but he's fighting. Let's see what he's got. Moving up in weight to do it as well. We'll see what Ryan Garcia is made of, but not before we hear what he has to say about his upcoming fight, what he went through with Gervonta Davis, and what he's dealing with right now, and what he's been dealing with for quite some time that he never took the time to share with a lot of people. The one and only Ryan Garcia, up next with yours truly, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Be right back. Score this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. And who wouldn't want a little something extra to celebrate if the team you're rooting for is victorious, you know? And even though we're well into the season, it's not too late to get started. In fact, there's no better time to get in on the action than now. We've seen the early season trends. We know what we're dealing with, and hopefully our bets follow suit. And this app is so easy to use. My friends love FanDuel. They bet spreads, props, totals, all the action they want on the game, and they're able to do so through FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/SAS and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in select states. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
My next guest has been ranked one of the best active lightweight boxers on the planet with a record of 23-1, 19 knockouts, by the way. On December 2nd, he'll take on Oscar Duarte on sports streaming service DAZN at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the one and only Ryan Garcia. What's up, big time? How are you, man? How's everything?
Hey, what's up? How you doing? I hope you're good. Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. I've been waiting to talk to you for a long time. First of all, how are you feeling? How are things going in your life right now? First things first.
Yeah, things are going great. I'm healthy. Family's healthy. Everybody's doing okay. So that's the good thing. We're all okay here.
Why is this guy right here, Oscar Duarte, getting the opportunity to fight you? There's so many great lightweights out there, the Devin Haney's of the world. Gervonta Davis is still there. Obviously, Shakur Stevenson and various others. Why is this guy, even though the guy's pretty damn good, his record is definitely good. Why is he getting this opportunity to fight Ryan Garcia?
It's my first fight at 140. My main goal is to become a champion. So my coach felt this was the first step to get that title. To build myself at 140. And this was the first step. So I just trust my coach and what he decided, and he decided that a first go around would be Oscar Duarte.
How difficult has these last few months been for you since your loss to Gervonta Davis? I mean, you were 2-15-15 as an amateur. You were undefeated as a pro. Losing is not something that you know much about. What has it been like for you on a personal level, particularly psychologically, since that loss?
It's been a renewal. It's been a renewal of the mind. For a long time, I was lost. I didn't know, I lost myself since 2020, and I haven't been this sharp since 2020. So it was really a blessing in disguise. That Gervonta fight definitely was tough, but it wasn't me. So it wasn't that tough for me. I felt like I didn't lose. The best version of me didn't lose. That version of me is long gone, and I needed that. I needed that type of rival, that type of fire. And now, like I said, I'm the sharpest and most committed I've been since 2020.
When you say you lost yourself since 2020, what do you mean? I've spoken to you on several occasions since 2020. You were undefeated. You were knocking cats out. You looked very, very sharp in the ring, outside of the ring. The way you dressed, the way you talked, the way you carried yourself, you looked the part, and then you'd handle your business in the ring. When you say you lost yourself since 2020, what are you talking about? Because I don't think anybody publicly saw anything like that.
Well, internally, especially after 2021, I took my mental health break after defeating Luke Campbell. I took a lot of steps back. That time off, I got into a lot of bad habits, fell into depression, and it was hard to find myself back to that high-level athlete that you need to be in order to compete at the highest level and that type of focus that you need. So, it was hard for me. It was hard for me to find it, and I didn't really get there. Again, there was a lot of stops and trials that I had to get through just to get to the Gervonta fight. So again, those things really disrupted my spirit and my mental fortitude, and it caused me just to not be at my top self that you need to be as a professional athlete. So that's what I mean when I didn't really have myself and that type of focus that I had, on that grind coming up, trying to be the best I could possibly be. But that's long gone. The person I am now is not the person you've seen fight in April against Gervonta.
But you've always been a really, really good dude, and you've always been somebody that wasn't just about yourself, but you were about helping other people. I've known this since the numerous conversations that I've had with you. So let's stay here for a second when we bring up the issue of depression. How did you know you were depressed? What were the signs that let you know that you were depressed? What kind of counsel can you give to those who might be suffering from it, might not even know it, or might not want to embrace it? What do you say to those folks out there?
It was a clear sign for me that I was depressed when I lost the love for everything. I didn't really have motivation or any drive to really take any steps forward. I had lost hope. I had lost hope in my faith. I lost hope in myself. And I just didn't care. And that was the clear sign for me. And, for me, it's, that revival and that comeback started when, I just decided that I can't do it on my own. I can't will myself out of it. It was something that I had to figure out how to be educated on. I started off with counseling, and from there kind of just built from that. Obviously, my faith in God has helped me through a lot of things, and that's who I lean on the most. But again, I took every step that you can. I seek counsel from many peers and many people, and I just decided, to accept the help and not try to, will myself out like I would normally in anything else. So, if you're feeling that way in depression, I just pray that you reach out to somebody you love and you really talk about it and you really focus on your mental health and really take that serious, because it could turn into a problem and it could get you into a lot of bad habits, which I did, and I don't want that to happen to anybody else. I want them to keep thriving and being the best version of themselves. So if you are going through that, I want you to seek some people to help you.
What bad habits?
Drinking, doing whatever I want, partying, just trying to distract myself from the pain I felt. I didn't know how to escape it, and I couldn't find any comfort anywhere. So I just did whatever I wanted to do, and I was young. I could do whatever I want. I had money and whatnot, and I just did whatever I want. I was trying to fill this void in me that I couldn't feel anywhere else. So, it was hard. It was very hard for me. But again, with the peers and my family and everybody around me, they helped me get through it.
Did a depressed version of Ryan Garcia, is that what walked into the ring with Gervonta Davis?
You know what? A defeated Ryan Garcia mentally walked into that ring. A one that was deprived of his body, was deprived of his physical strength, and ultimately not the best version of Ryan Garcia, was definitely not in that ring come April. I dare Gervonta to fight me at the right weight and in a healthy aspect, and I would love to do it again. Again, I'm not saying that to do it right now, but I'm saying let me show everybody how I'm coming at 140. Let me show this new version. Let me prove to everybody that first go around wasn't the best version of me. That's what I'm saying. Gervonta Davis, let's let him have his shine right now. He deserves it. He was on point that night. So for me, I just know at my best version, he can't beat me. But I have a lot to prove since that loss. So I'm ready to do that.
Now, you're fighting at 140 now. You fought Gervonta Davis at 136. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes. And you walked into that fight, and I remember you talking thereafter about how much weaker you are. I'm not really here to talk about Gervonta Davis with you. That loss happened. The one thing that I will say is this. As a boxing fan, as somebody who is a fan of yours, I watched you. I found myself disappointed in your performance that night only from the standpoint like you were coming at him, and I'm saying, wait a minute, this cat is lightning quick. He's the shorter, stockier fighter. He fights naturally. He doesn't feel drained at that 135, 136-pound weight. Let the dude stalk you, counterpunch, use your quickness, your jab, your speed, and none of that seemed to be there that night. It was like you were coming to him and walking into ultimately getting caught by that liver shot that got you. Is my breakdown of that accurate in your estimation?
Oh, yeah, I would say that it's pretty accurate. My mindset wasn't that, though. My mindset wasn't to win the fight. I was so I just wanted to knock him out because at that state, I just knew that I wouldn't be able to last 12 rounds. I did go into the ring with a separated rib, and I went into the ring with depletion. But again, I had a mindset where if I catch him, I'm going to go after him. And obviously that was my downfall. But you're spot on that. I should have boxed him. I should have been more, I should have took it as a fight, as a boxing match. I took it as like, I'm going to go try to knock this dude out. And that was my downfall. So you're spot on of that. It was weird. I felt like, with the mole in my camp, who can I trust? I mean, I didn't know who I could trust. There's only 3 people in the gym when certain things happened. And it was hard for me to trust my team. It was hard for me to trust anything at that point. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know who to listen to. But yeah, you're spot on that.
In the aftermath of the fight, one of the things you mentioned was your team, and you talked about, I remember reading about the word betrayal. I remember reading that you felt like nobody was there for you when you had lost the fight from your camp, that Gervonta Davis's camp seemed to care more about you than the people that you had employed that was working in your camp. As we sit here today and you reflect on all that you've been through, the depression, the therapy, and everything else, do you still feel that way, or are you of the mindset that it was more about you and how you were feeling as opposed to what your team may have done or may not have done to you or for you?
Oh, no, they definitely did it to me.
Okay.
I was, I had the benefit of, hanging out with Floyd, and Floyd mentioned to me, how he got that information. So that's not a secret anymore. I know what went down. So I did get betrayed. That's not even a myth. And yeah, I felt hurt, and I feel, I still feel like there's a lack of belief on the promotion side, and by the comments they're making and continue to make, and what can I do now though? I can't do anything. I just know I could box my ass off, and I'm gonna do that. but it sucks boxing your ass off for a team that don't really believe in you, but they'll collect that check, they'll collect the money I make them.
Right.
But they won't believe in me though. They don't have to believe, but they'll dang right collect all that money I make for them, which is very disappointing.
Right.
But in life, the cards are dealt, and you got to play.
Hey, Ryan, I would challenge you on that. When you talk about them not believing in you, what I would say is this. Part of that betrayal, if I remember what I read, was them, people in your camp, leaking information to the opposition going into the fight about what you were doing in camp to prepare for the fight, et cetera, et cetera. Well, guess what? If they did that, they must have felt it was necessary in order for the opposition to get the victory, because if they weren't worried about you winning that fight, they wouldn't have it. They would not have had a need to leak anything, because what concern would there have been? What about that thinking?
You could think of a lot of things. At the end of the day, somebody had to somebody had to show disloyalty. Somebody had to decide to take whatever money they gave them for that information, and that's somebody had to accept it. And that's just what it is. I can't keep going back to it too much, but right. I know that happened, and it is what it is.
I got to tell you this, man. I still believe you're one of the best in the world. I don't care what anybody says. Listen, anybody gets caught with a liver shot, anything could happen with that. I get that part. But what I'm saying is you got one loss on your resume as a professional fighter. Losing to Gervonta Davis is no shame, for crying out loud. You can come back. You can avenge that. You can fight against other elite fighters. And obviously, you got a long, healthy career ahead of you, assuming you handle your business. So this guy, Oscar Duarte, tell me about this fight coming up against him December 2nd in Houston. What you think about him and what you need to be concerned about going up against this cat.
Oscar Duarte is a tough fighter. He's a come-forward fighter. He has a lot of knockouts, so this guy is going to be a threat in some aspects. But it's somebody that I've seen before, growing up in Southern California, fighting in LA and Coachella. I see a lot of pressure fighters. So it's not. I feel like my experience is going to take over, but it's not so much about Duarte. For me, it's about, this is how I'm making an example out of Duarte to the 140 division. And that's not disrespectful to him. I'm just saying that for me, this is going to set the tone. This is the Ryan Garcia you're going to get and continue to get. And this is who's coming. This is who's coming. He's not going to stop. There's not going to be no backpedaling. There's not going to be any let up. With my new trainer and all this new focus and commitment, this is the Ryan you're going to get. So I'm setting the tone for how I'm coming. That's what this fight is for me. That's what you're going to see December 2nd is the Ryan that's coming at the 140 division.
Who's your new trainer?
Derek James.
Okay.
Yes, he also trains Errol Spence Jr. And Frank Martin and some other guys.
Yeah, Frank Martin's no joke. I like Frank Martin. I thought that's a fight that you could. I still think that's a fight that you could have down the road, because I think Frank Martin is a pretty damn talented fighter. But I'll get back to you, because you talk about no backpedaling. I'm like Ryan Garcia. What's wrong with that? You got a long jab. You got lightning quickness. You got power in either hand. What's wrong with stepping back and catching the cat while he's trying to come up to you? That's my concern about you, Ryan Garcia. That's my concern.
No, I wasn't talking about I wasn't talking about the fight. I was talking about after this, I'm gonna stay locked in. I didn't mean
I was saying, no, back up a little bit. Don't go to everybody. Let them come to you, because they probably ain't gonna catch you. That's what I'm thinking. Right. I'm a fan also. I gotta acknowledge this. I am a fan of Teofimo Lopez. You moved up to 140. That's the dude to me at 140. That's how I view the division outside of yourself. Do you have your sights set on him down the road, or is it just anybody that's standing in your way?
Oh, I'm hungry for that. I'm hungry for the best in the division. Like I said, my goal is to become a world champion at 140. However that road looks like, I'm gonna let my coach decide. My coach decided Oscar Duarte, but I'm hungry. I want everybody. Ultimately, I want that rematch. Of course, that's still burning inside of me, and whoever I got to go through to get there, and then become a champion at 140. If we got to go through Teofimo Lopez, so be it. Mm-hmm. If we got to go through Devin Haney, so be it. I'm ready to take that road, and that's what's going to happen. Me and my coach are going to stay focused, stay locked in, and I'm going to stay active, because activity is my best friend.
What is the world going to see from Ryan Garcia in the boxing ring that they didn't see that night against Gervonta Davis? I'm talking purely boxing, style, everything. What are they going to see inside that squared circle that they didn't see that night?
You're going to see a beautiful jab. You're going to see beautiful shot selection. You're going to see so much control in the ring. You're going to see so much fluidity in the ring and so much control. You're going to see how beautiful the boxing is. I'm going to box my ass off and look so beautiful in that ring. You're going to be like, man, this Ryan is really on point. He has something right now that you can't buy this type of focus. This focus comes with determination and a whole lot of thinking. So you're going to see a beautiful boxer in that ring come December 7th.
When I think about you, man, I try to tell people, and I told you this when we talked, this is last year sometimes. I said, listen, as a boxer, you may not be thinking about it, but as a pundit, as a commentator, when we see it, it ain't just the skills inside the ring, it's your ability to sell the sport. You got the look, you carry yourself in a certain way, you're so articulate, and you can fight. I was thinking going into that fight against Gervonta Davis, oh my God, he wins this fight, he is the face of boxing because everybody's gonna clamor to him. And to me, it was comparable in terms of what I was envisioning anyway to Sugar Ray Leonard when he came into the game in the 80s and how all the advertisers and sponsors and just the world gravitated towards him. Has that kind of stuff been on your mind at all? Have you realized that potential that you have outside of the ring once you accomplish all the things you want to accomplish inside the ring?
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty aware of where I stand in the sport and how, I do have the ability to market myself. And it's one of the reasons why, I changed the landscape of the game. I felt like I took boxing and where boxing was at, I took it in my own hands. And I made sure that boxing caught some fire. It was boring. It was boring to me, at least. And, there needed to be a change, and there still needs to be a change in boxing. I feel like I have the blueprint, and I know how to maneuver in this generation and how to pioneer it and how to lead these fighters into, getting the money they deserve and putting back power to the fighters. Yeah. Promoters are a little outdated in their thinking, and they need to just trust the young minds and come together and let go of their egos and figure something out. I
view you as one of the people that literally, if you accomplish what you're after, you have the power to circumvent the promoters who have been controlling the sport and really take this sport to another level, to a level where I believe it belongs. I'm very disgusted with promoters having taken over the sports because they repeatedly do not give us the fight that we want to see, which is why I support Jake Paul, not as a boxer because he doesn't get in the ring with boxers most of the time, which pisses me off. He needs to get in the ring with actual boxers, not strikers from MMA. That's just my position about it. But I like him and I like his intent. When you see somebody like that, even though he's not the boxer that you are, does it inspire you even more because you know what guys like that are trying to do for the sport of boxing in terms of empowering fighters?
I think that it's just more fuel to what I've been saying. How you could take your brand and you get the power. You're putting yourself in the driver's seat, and Jake Paul is a great example of it. He didn't box his whole life, but again, he's in the position to make big fights happen, and he's taking the sport serious, which I will give him credit for. I think that he has the right blueprint on how to promote a fight, how to market himself, and he doesn't need a promoter. I'm not saying that you completely disregard every promoter in the world, but I think that they need to be more open.
So, Ron, with all of that being said, at this stage and point right now, I know what you're hoping for. I know you're incredibly confident. At 140, is that a weight you plan on staying at? Or are you of the mindset, I'm moving up? I'm watching a Terrence Crawford go against Errol Spence at 147. I'm seeing Boots Ennis waiting for a chance at Terrence Crawford. I'm hearing Charlo talking about moving down or having Crawford move up to 154. You're hearing all of this noise, and the money fights seem to be at 147, at least for the moment. Is your intent to stay at 140 and just build that division and own it, or you have different aspirations?
I feel like, where my mind and my heart is that I feel like anywhere between 140 and 147.
Got it.
I think that's where I'll be able to dominate. Again, they need me to make a big fight. So they're all going to have to see me sooner or later. And that's my mindset. Do I want to become a world champion at 140, though? That's my goal. And then everything else will take place when it takes place. But again, become a champion. I did what I wanted to do when I came into the sport, which was get everybody to know my name. I wanted to do a super mega fight and make the fight happen. I did that, but now I want to become a world champion. I want to solidify myself as a champion. I'm tired of these people saying you're not a champion. Man, anybody could be a champion if they really wanted to. Well, not anybody, right. But it's easy to maneuver their way. You know what I mean? In this day and age, at least. When I hear world champion, I think you fought the best guy, the one that holds the legitimate title. But again, I'm not going to get too much into that. But my whole goal right now is to become a world champion, legitimately beat a Teofimo Lopez, a Devin Haney, whoever is at 140, and then see where life goes from there.
If somebody said to you, championship at 140, another title at 147, or a rematch against Gervonta Davis, what do you want more?
Let me think about this one.
Yeah, take your time.
I think me becoming a 140 champion, 147 champion is what I want, and I think that I need that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm hungry for right now, because that Gervonta fight is going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's going to happen. That will play its part when it plays its part. But for me, it's having some substance under me, because I've always been a champion since I was young. I was a national champ. I did make the USA team. I am a winner. I have been at the top.
True.
And I plan to do that. I plan to do that now again. So that's where my heart is at. That Gervonta fight, whenever, however. But first, let me build that up again, because I know people, they have that taste in their mouth, from that last fight. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm ready to wash that out, become a champion, and then let's run it back.
December 2nd, Toyota Center, Houston, Texas, Oscar Duarte versus the one and only Ryan Garcia. Ryan, let me say two things to you before I let you go. First of all, I'm rooting for you. You're one of the best things to happen in boxing. I've gotten to know you over the years. I'm always a fan of yours, and I want you to know, and I want all the boxers out there to know, listen, there's a lot of stuff, a lack of appreciation that folks out here have for elite boxers in the world today. I want you to know that this place, the Stephen A. Smith Show, is always a home for y'all. So I'm wishing you nothing but the best. Anytime you want to come through and rap to me about anything, feel free. The door is always open, my brother, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. You're a big inspiration throughout the years, man. Love watching you. You're a legend. You know that. And I'm blessed to be part of your show. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. All the best. Good luck. Handle your business December 2nd.
We all know how much of a hassle buying a car can be. You spend so much time driving around trying to find the perfect car, negotiating over the price, and worrying about the quality of the vehicle. But not anymore, thanks to Vroom. Vroom is the better way to buy and sell used cars. When you go to Vroom.com, you can shop thousands of cars right from your phone. They have all the popular makes and models and no haggle pricing, so you know you're getting a good deal. Best of all, they'll deliver your new ride directly to you. Vroom stands by its vehicles, too. Every car and truck from Vroom goes through a thorough inspection and reconditioning process and comes with a 90-day limited warranty. On top of that, you have 7 days or 250 miles, whichever comes first, to make sure it's the car for you. And if you don't love it, you can return it. You can also sell or trade in your current car on Vroom, and they'll pick it up for free. Just answer a few questions about your car on the Vroom website, and you'll get an offer in as little as 2 minutes. You have no obligation to sell, so there's nothing to lose. So whether it's buying your next car, selling or trading in your current one, Vroom has you covered. So start shopping today at Vroom.com. That's Vroom.com.
Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. Before I get to the calls and the tweets and everything else, I had to reflect back on what transpired on national television last night, courtesy of Fox News Channel. Last night, a debate was held between two governors, California's Gavin Newsom and Florida's Ron DeSantis. The highly unusual debate, moderated by Fox News host Sean Hannity, was billed by the network as the, quote, great red state versus blue state debate. First things first, got to take a moment to give my man Sean Hannity his props. He deserves it because he came out, he started the debate by saying, you know who I am, you know how I feel, you know where I stand on the issues. So he put that out there on Front Street. Then said, but this ain't about that. This is about these two governors sparring against one another because ideologically, they're on opposite sides of the fence. DeSantis is a staunch conservative and Republican. Obviously, Gavin Newsom is a very, very big liberal. And we saw a very heated debate. But here's what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen. We can look at Ron DeSantis and we can see how he got at Gavin Newsom with a lot of facts that were pretty difficult to refute, involving the economy, involving immigration, and regarding unemployment, regarding crime in the state of California, not to mention homelessness, because these are all viable issues that are taking place in the state of California. As somebody who is there frequently, I know those are legitimate problems that need to be addressed in that state. Second largest state in America. It's just that simple. There is no way around that. In the case of Gavin Newsom, he is a liberal that obviously believes in a lot of different things. He's a defender of women's rights, obviously somebody that wishes Roe v. Wade was never overturned. Clearly, he believes that the economy and the things that California struggles with as it pertains to the economy is vastly overblown. Don't know how true, how accurate that is. There were a lot of stats thrown into the equation, and we see all of this. And we said to ourselves, hey, you got identity politics on the left, which obviously Newsom was speaking to, and you got a guy in DeSantis who didn't really want to address education because we know about his positions and what problems we have with some of his positions as it pertains to education and what is being taught to our youth and books that are being banned and things of that nature. But Florida is doing better or appears to be doing better economically, and that was one of the cases that he was making. Either way you slice it, this is what I walked away thinking about. Vice President Kamala Harris. You know why I was thinking about her? Because not too many people were. She is the Vice President of the United States of America. Not only is she the Vice President of the United States of America, who is female, who is black, and obviously that is a first in that position, but the other thing to take into account that's undeniable, that can't be ignored, is the fact that with Joe Biden, President Joe Biden being 81 years of age, with the right doing everything they can to push the narrative that he just doesn't seem as cogent and as lucid, as competent as he needs to be a president in office for the next 4 years, starting in the year 2024. One would think this is a prime opportunity for Vice President Kamala Harris to be at the forefront. But she's not. Very few people are thinking about her. Sure, she goes to the border. Sure, she has been raising hell since Roe v. Wade was overturned and the Supreme Court made that decision. Sure, she's been outspoken about women's rights. There is no doubt about that. And her heart definitely appears to be in the right place. This ain't about that. This ain't about her competence or lack thereof. The only issue I've ever expressed about her personally is that, damn it, stop giggling every time they give you a tough question. It is an invasive tactic that everybody and their grandmama could see. Every time she gets asked a tough question, before she answers the question, no, answer the question, because it comes across like you're buying time. That's all. Just as a person that knows something about projecting and how one projects themselves, I would prefer that she not do that. But that's it. Everything else, if you're a liberal, you're not going to have much of a problem with her. If you're a conservative, you're going to have problems with her all day, every day. Fair enough. In the end, nobody's thinking about her, or shall I say most. And that is my concern, because Gavin Newsom standing up there, although if you are an independent or if you are somebody on the right, he's probably not your cup of tea. But if you are a flaming liberal who is about progressivism, who's about liberal policies, who's about more government than free market capitalism, who's about open borders to some degree or something close or akin to open borders, if you're about that, you're going to be supportive of Gavin Newsom. And if that is the case, here's the reality. He's younger than Joe Biden. He's sharp as all get out. He is polished. He is an elite debater. And at this particular moment in time, he is the #1 voice on the left. Where does that leave Kamala Harris? Gavin Newsom says he's not running for office in 2024. Everybody looking at him versus DeSantis is assuming it's 2028. In the end, what it comes down to for me is this. We have a black woman leading the Senate as the vice president of the United States of America, who no one is thinking about. What you gonna do, Kamala Harris? What you gonna do about that? Because whatever it is you're gonna do, it needs to be quick. Because Gavin Newsom, being on national television, last night on Fox News, going up against a conservative governor who, by the way, you should have went against when he tried to sit up there and pretend, him and his bunch of cronies, talking about there were good elements of slavery. You should have been the one debating him, in my opinion. You should have pounced on that opportunity to stand in front of that man and debate him on that issue alone. But Gavin Newsom was the one there last night. And if you're a leftist, it was him that was looking presidential, not Kamala Harris, who's the vice president of the United States of America. That's what I walked away with. I'm only speaking for myself. Only speaking for myself. Let me transition to another subject before I get to the calls. Because this involves actor Jussie Smollett. Remember him from the show Empire? Well, it turns out an appeals court upheld the disorderly conduct convictions Friday, December 1st, of Smollett, who was accused of staging a racist, homophobic attack against himself in 2019 and lying about it to the Chicago Police Department. Smollett, who appeared in the TV show Empire, like I just mentioned, challenged the role of a special prosecutor, jury selection, evidence, and many other aspects of the case. But all were turned aside in a 2-1 opinion from the Illinois Appellate Court. Smollett had reported to police, if you remember, that he was the victim of a racist and homophobic attack by 2 men wearing ski masks. The search for the attackers soon turned into an investigation of Smollett himself, leading to his arrest on charges he had orchestrated the whole attack. I paused there because I was struggling to say what word is it? Is it really an attack? But I digress. A jury convicted Smollett in December of 2021 on 5 felony counts of disorderly conduct, a charge that can be filed in Illinois when a person lies to the police. He was sentenced in March of 2022 and said, quote, "I did not do this," and shouted, "I am not suicidal," repeatedly in court. He now will have to finish a 150-day stint in jail that was part of his sentence. Smollett spent just 6 days in jail while his appeal was pending. We weren't there. We can only go by the preponderance of evidence that was thrown in our direction, what the Chicago Police Department pretended, ultimately what the courts decided. But let me say this to Jussie Smollett. None of us believe you. Let me tell you why, my brother. See, ladies and gentlemen, there's certain things that come along with being black, okay? Number one, when you black, and I know I'm supposed to say when you're black, but I'm engaging in embonic language here for a second. When you black, you don't go out in freezing temperatures at 2 o'clock in the morning or somewhere around that time in Chicago to get Subways. You just don't. You just don't. Now, I understand that that's not something that's fact-based per se. It's stereotypical. It's a perception. But I have black folks working for me. Show a hand. I got black folks working for me right now. Raise your hand if y'all going out to get Subways 2 o'clock in the morning in freezing temperature in Chicago, Illinois. I just want to know. I mean, come on now. Come on now. Brandon, Nelly, Sumatra, Phil, where y'all at? Where y'all at? I mean, everybody. Who the hell doing that? That's number one. That's number one. Number two, when the cops came to see you, you still had a rope around your neck. When you called it a racist and homophobic attack, which, by the way, according to the police department, wasn't necessarily immediate. That wasn't the immediate reaction that you had. But when they came to see you, you still had the rope around your neck. Really? So we got a rope around our neck, and we just gonna keep it there, huh? We just gonna keep it there. All right? Number three, you know, I saw that interview on Valentine's Day in 2019, if I remember correctly. You were being interviewed by Robin Roberts, the esteemed, the renowned, the incomparable Robin Roberts of Good Morning America, where at that particular moment in time, you said the assailants yelled MAGA country, and they were wearing red MAGA hats. In Chicago, Illinois, where a subway is? Really? Really? You sure about that? See, there was holes all over the place. All over the place, okay? And we could speculate that, you know, Empire was about to go off and you wanted to make sure your popularity stayed where it was, if not elevated, et cetera, et cetera. You wanted to be relevant. Those were very trying times. Trump was in office. The nation was as divided as ever, and obviously pointing to something that lent itself towards race and homophobia because you are a gay male. You were looking for empathy and sympathy. But you had civil rights organizations coming to your defense. You had the black community coming to your defense. You had them excoriating the Chicago Police Department and whatever. Do I think you should spend time in jail, Jussie Smollett? I don't. I think the jails need to be reserved for people who are menaces to society and are doing harm to other individuals. But should your ass be embarrassed into perpetuity? You're damn right. What a shameful, shameful thing to do, it appears. You can sit up there and proclaim your innocence all you want to, but I'm going to lean on Dave Chappelle. When Dave Chappelle, I don't know if he was hosting Saturday Night Live or he was doing stand-up comedy, because I watch him often because he's one of my favorite all-time comedians. I don't know exactly when he brought this up, but here's what he said. People were accusing him and others who weren't speaking up on behalf of Jussie Smollett. They were accusing him and others of not looking out. And what Dave Chappelle said was, we were looking out with our silence. You know who else was doing that? It was me. Because I always have a national platform. And I always suspected your ass was lying. I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. And before I go to my tweets and my callers, I'm going to tell a little story involving my boy Jeff Brown. He lives in California. I want y'all to listen to this story. Jeff Brown called me the day the story came out. And he said, Steve, there's something that's fishy about this. Something don't seem right. And I sat up there and I looked at him and I said, could you please stop, man? Will you stop it, man? Give the brother an opportunity, man. Stop acting like this. Why he got to be lying? How come he can't tell the truth? Jeff's daughter. Daddy, you need to stop. I mean, damn, give the man a chance. Oh, you so hard. You just so straight and narrow. How about giving the brother the benefit of the doubt? And I said to Jeff, man, Jeff, you should be ashamed of yourself, man. I mean, the type of society we living in, all these attacks, racism, homophobia, all this other stuff, and this is what you're going to do. The first thing that comes to your mind is you're going to say the brother lying. Jeff, you should be ashamed of yourself. And then the next day I'm flying out of town, and breaking news shows up on CNN. And it said, the police are investigating whether or not the story that Jussie Smollett gave to them was true. And I said, God damn. Damn. Because right then I knew you were lying. I should say the word knew because we still don't know. It's just that most of us believe that you are, my brother. Do your time. Do it quietly. Take some time away from the public eye, a couple of years. We'll never forget that you lied to us in our eyes. And just move on from there. There's no hope in convincing us that you were telling the truth. Not when two brothers from Nigeria came out and acknowledged it was them and that you paid them to do that. Ain't no coming back from that, bro. You can overcome it and move on with your life. And we forgive because this is America. But we'll never forget. Sorry. Let's go to the tweets before I get to the calls and get on out of here, please. Let me go to this board right here because I want to get this up right now. You know, I like using my board here for these tweets because some of the tweets that y'all send in, I understand that, you know, y'all try to get at me, y'all try to talk to me about these things and what have you. And I like answering some questions, especially with the callers. But first, we're going to go to the tweets right now. At NY Sports and Pads with RJ Barrett as his, you know, face here. Let's go to this. Favorite First Take episode? I have many First Take episodes because I love doing my episodes always. I love working with Mad Dog Russo. I love working with Dan Orlovsky, Ryan Clark, Swagoo's, my boys. Ryan Clark is there. Shannon Sharp is there right now as well. Me and JJ Reddick going at it 1 minute. Me and Kendrick Perkins going at it another minute. Love it all. Love it all. But I have to admit, there are 3 shows that stand out. One was when I was on the air with Skip Bayless years ago, after LeBron James had caught the cramps in San Antonio during the NBA Finals in like 2014, and DJ Khaled came on the show, and he was like, yo, it's not gonna be, we gonna handle our business. It's not gonna be like some conspiracy with the AC not working and all of this other stuff. And Skip Bayless with Kerry Champion hosting the show, Skip Bayless looked at him and he was like, mocking them, like, how do you know about this? Who are your sources? And DJ Khaled said, the streets, they don't love you no more. I swear to y'all, I still think about it and I start laughing because that was funny. The second one that comes to my mind was when I showed up down the block from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. And we did a show right down the block at the sports bar. And Michael Irvin showed up as a guest at that time. And the place was filled to the rafters, 3 levels. It was barely standing room. And all of these Cowboy fans had descended upon this place just to vilify me. And I loved it. Ooh, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it, okay? So that's the second show. I mean, I had so much fun. I literally have talked to ESPN. Do you know what my dream is for First Take, which is my day job on ESPN? You want me to tell you what my dream is based off of what I just told you? I want to do a First Take show live from the parking lot of AT&T Stadium right before a Cowboys game during a tailgate party. I want them out there drinking, like, you know, getting drunk like skunks and walking around and talking this. No going to win the Super Bowl next year. Oh, Stephen A. I love it. I want to do it right from their backyard, but I want it to be a game I know they're going to lose. I don't want it to go against some scrub team. I want them going up against a team that's quality, okay? But that's number 2. My number 1 favorite was when Michael Irvin came down there, came on the show on First Take, and he did Ryan Clark. And he's doing a playmaker segment, right? And the theme of the segment was keep it spinning. All you got to do is go Google it and say, keep it spinning, Michael Irvin, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, okay? And Ryan Clark said, what I got on? The blue suede shoes. And then he started talking. and started sitting up there, gave it Justin Field. Shut up, not Justin Field. But they say he couldn't play. They say he couldn't play. They said he knew quarterback. He said he knew quarterback. They said they need somebody else. What they gonna do now? What they gonna do now? Hilarious. That I loved. Those three stand out in my mind. But Shannon Sharp, on his first week on the job, pounding the desk because he kept calling me Skip and it kept slipping out of his mouth. And then they did that animation with him as the Hulk pounding the desk. That was funny too. I hope that answers your question. Let's go to the next tweet right here, please. Give it to me. At XOOP Gone, or Soup Gone, whatever the hell it is. XOUP Gone. Can you give me a step-by-step playbook on how to talk to the ladies? You know, there are various ways. You know, it depends on the lady. You don't just walk up to everybody the same way. You have to measure the look of a woman. Some women look at you like they are not interested at all. Some women look at you like, I don't know you and I'm scared, because they're threatened by everything. And so it's not just about approaching them, it's where you approach them. They have to be in confines where they're comfortable and they don't perceive you as a threat. So that ultimately goes a long way too. A simple hello definitely works. If you have something complimentary, but not off-putting or offensive to say, that would help as well. A lot of times, you go up to a woman, don't go up to her and be like, Lord have mercy, that body, the good Lord, I can't get, nope, that's just classless. That doesn't work because you've already objectified her, and usually grown-ass women don't like that. But if you sit back and she got on a nice outfit or she's not on a nice clothes, that looks sensational. You really, really do look special. And then if the door is open based on how she greets you, my name is such and such. What is your name? And just tell her, I think you're a very, very beautiful lady. I just wanted to let you know that, okay? It's very nice to meet you, and I hope that I have the opportunity to see you sometime. I'm not going to even approach you too aggressively right now because I don't want to be off-putting and I don't want to be disrespectful. But if I ever get the opportunity again, I would love the opportunity to just sit down and talk with you. You know why? Because you gave her an out. She could say thank you and let you go on your way. But if she's interested, she might turn around and say, well, you know what? I'm standing here right now. And then she can converse with you and have a conversation. You might be lucky enough because all you're after is some level of communication that will facilitate additional communication. And then you take it from there. Don't try to get it all in one day. Slow your roll, be respectful, and be incremental with your steps. If she wants you to move faster, she'll let you know. Now get on out of here. I'm Stephen A. Next tweet, let's give it to me. At Who's Breezy UK, will you be playing the new GTA, Stephen? Not really. Not really. Grand Theft Auto's big time. The game has a lot of hype, and the trailer drops Tuesday, December 5th. For those of you who don't know, I know you didn't think I knew that, but I did know that. I know you didn't think I knew that, but I knew it, okay? By the way, I also know they're hinting at a return to Vice City. And if they're going about a return to Vice City, that's like after 21 years. Now check this out. For those of y'all who don't know about Vice City, it's like based off of essentially Miami, like a Miami Vice. Me, I stop at Miami. Because let me tell y'all something right now. And I don't know if y'all ever heard this, but if you haven't, I'm gonna tell you. Miami is a vice. It really, really is. It really is. And it's a vice that some of us can't overcome. It's a vice that most don't want to overcome. But it's a vice. Make no mistake about it. Grand Theft Auto returning to Vice City after 21 years. I hope that happens. It looks like that's going to happen. It looks like that's what that's all about. So guess what? I may not be playing it, but then again, I might, based on my nephews telling me to do it. I'm a busy man, got a lot to do, but it don't mean I don't know what's going on. It doesn't mean I don't know what's going on. Next up, what you got? At Keto with Annie, all right, as it's short for animation. Which borough has the finest women? Now you say borough, so I'm assuming you're a native New Yorker because when it comes to New York, it's the 5 boroughs. It's Queens, Staten Island, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and obviously Manhattan. Are you ready for this shocker? Are you ready for the shocker? What I'm about to break down to you. The finest women, the borough with the finest women is Manhattan. You know why I tell you Manhattan? You know why I'm telling you Manhattan? Take a guess. Let me tell you why it's Manhattan. Because everybody from Staten Island, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens come to Manhattan. That's why. See, when you go to one of those other boroughs, that's who's there. But when you go to Manhattan, that's where everybody comes. You don't go to Manhattan and just see somebody from one of the boroughs. You see somebody from all of the boroughs. When you go to the Bronx, chances are it's going to be somebody from the Bronx. You go to Brooklyn, people in the Bronx ain't trying to go over to Brooklyn. You go to Brooklyn, people in Brooklyn ain't trying to hang in Staten Island. People in Staten Island ain't trying to hang in Queens. No. But everybody goes to Manhattan. Even cats out there in Long Island. They take in the Long Island Expressway. All right? Or the Long Island Railroad to the city. Everybody coming to the city. So if you want a taste of everything, if you want the perception of what a mosaic looks like, you go to Manhattan and you just hang around and you'll be surprised what you run into. Let's move over to take some of y'all calls, all right? Want to do that right here. You're sitting here live with Stephen A. Smith. 888-SAS-5303. That's 888-727-5303. Let's go to the calls. Let's go to Tyler in Minnesota. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Tyler?
Not much. How you doing, Stephen?
Talk to me, man. What's up?
All right. So first off, I want to say congrats on the show and congrats on your book, Straight Shooter. Read it last summer. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
My question for you. Tell me why the Minnesota Timberwolves are the best team in the NBA and why Anthony Edwards is the best basketball player to ever pick up a ball.
Well, first of all, Anthony Edwards is not the best player to ever pick up the basketball. He is a star. He's got superstar potential written all over him. He's a stud. I love him. I think he's one of the young lions that's going to be the future of the NBA. I love the fact that he got his $200 million from the Minnesota Timberwolves. He deserves it. And he has a lot to do with their success because he has arrived. I would tell you that the combination of Rudy Gobert along with Karl Anthony Towns is no scrub. The brother can play. He's a big man that can shoot. I really underestimated his ability. As long as he's healthy and his durability doesn't come into question, I think it's a plus for them. I question whether or not the combination of the two can get it done for you because you have that kind of size come in NBA playoff time. Teams will go smaller, forcing the big men to come out and guard them, knowing that they can't. And as a result, it would hamper Minnesota defensively. But you don't have the backups to offset when you go and take the big boys and bring them to the bench, and because you know that too much size is not necessarily going to be good for you unless you're going up against somebody like Denver or the Los Angeles Lakers. You're going to need to go smaller, and that's a challenge for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But they are a damn good young team. I love me some Anthony Edwards. I believe in this brother in all the ways that you should, and I'm very, very high on Minnesota's future. I just don't know if the Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns combo would work. Somebody might need to go. That's what I believe.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But either way, we're rocking and rolling. And one last thing, tell those producers at First Take to quit talking about the Cowboys so much.
All right, let me ask you, you know what, I could cut you off and just edit out that comment, but I won't do that. What I would say to you is that either shut the hell up or be fair in what your assessment is. First Take, which is my day job, has 15 segments per show. We never do the Cowboys more than twice. So this notion that we only talk about the Cowboys is a flat-out lie. We talk about a whole bunch of teams and a whole bunch of sports and issue-related content. We've been #1 for 12 years for a reason. There's no way in hell that we could have pulled that off if all we did was talk about the Cowboys. Get the hell over that. Stop that nonsense. That is a lie. Have a nice day. Brett, you're live with Stephen A. Brett in Orlando. Talk to me. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A., how are you?
What's going on, man? Talk to me.
So a lot was made over the summer about the Damian Lillard trade saga and his demand to be traded to Miami.
Okay.
Is it possible that the Heat lucked out by not making the trade and keeping a future star like Jaime Jaquez Jr.?
Who said they couldn't have kept Jaime Jaquez Jr.? I think they could have kept him. That wasn't a
think he
deal
could
breaker
take
for
the Kemba
Portland.
test?
That wasn't a deal breaker for Portland. They didn't feel like the Miami Heat had enough no matter what. Tyler Hero was in those discussions, okay? But the point is, you talk about Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is one of the ultimate closers this game has ever seen. He's a superstar basketball player. Don't tell me that Miami would have been better off without Damian Lillard. I don't believe that for 1 second. Put Damian Lillard with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and I'm telling you something right now. It's coming down between them and Boston to come out of the East. But because they didn't do it, I think it's going to be Milwaukee and Boston. And by the way, let's not sleep on Philly, because what if Philly gets their hands on somebody like Zach LaVine to join Maxey and Joel Embiid? What you think gonna happen then? We can't just be talking about Milwaukee and Boston if that happens. I tell you that.
Fair enough, but I think Miami with Hero, he's out right now. He can come back. He's on the same level as a Zach LaVine, Tyrese Maxey type player.
No. It's not that. You're thinking about the player. I'm thinking about what they bring to the table outside of just their offensive prowess. Zach LaVine is a bigger guy, and he's a skywalker. Now, Tyler Hero can put the ball up from three-point range, but Zach LaVine could finish for you in the open court. He can guard bigger dudes. He has legitimate size on him, and the combination of him with a Butler, with a Bam Adebayo, or if he were in Philadelphia, with him, with Maxey pushing the ball up the floor, playing at 100 miles an hour the way that he does, with Joel Embiid being a dominant big man that he is, Zach LaVine is definitely a plus. Now, I understand what you're saying, and I get where you're coming from, because Tyler Hero is not far off, but he's undersized compared to Zach LaVine a little bit, and he's not the skywalker that Zach LaVine is. He's a shooter.
Fair enough. They're all box office players.
They're not. Tyler Hero's not I love Tyler Hero. He's not a box office player. And Zach LaVine, by the way, Zach LaVine is not a box office player. He has box office moments, but he's not a box office player. You got to be consistent in order to have that label. Appreciate the call. John in Cincinnati, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. John, are you there? John, going once. John, going twice. Goodbye, John. Kalen in Atlanta, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Kalen?
What's up, Stephen A?
Talk to me.
I have a question regarding the NBA. Do you believe NBA officiating is one of the biggest issues, or load management throughout the entire NBA?
Well, I think load management was a problem. I think they're doing what they can to rectify that. That's why the in-season tournament is in vogue right now. When it comes to the officiating, here's where it gets tricky. On one hand, you can point to the officiating, but the officiating does what the league enforces them to do. So the league, in an effort to insert and implement institutional control, have done so with such a heavy hand that I think it's compromising the game and the quality of the game for the fan. Understand this. All you have to do is be defiant in stating no blows get thrown. You throw blows, you fight, you're going to get suspended, you're going to lose money, et cetera, et cetera. But outside of that, Kalen, are you telling me you mind seeing when players are arguing with one another, getting in each other's face? You're trying to tell me that it's a turnoff for you when their intensity level raises to the point where you see real animosity between them? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Because I know you're not.
No.
We love that. And the officials don't need to be getting in the way of that. And they don't need to be giving out texts when 16 texts could ultimately lead to a one-game suspension, and thereafter 2 additional texts can lead to another suspension. They don't need to be jeopardizing that with players, because now you're getting in the way of potential playoff matchups. You don't want Draymond Green out for a game like he was with Sacramento or he was years ago in the finals against Cleveland. You don't want to see that kind of stuff happening. You want cats that are on the basketball court. As long as they're not throwing blows, as long as they're not doing things to physically harm one another, but the intensity level raises and they really go at one another, just make sure that the fines are punitive enough to dissuade them from even thinking about engaging in fisticuffs, because the money that it's going to cost them is really going to be bad. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do more than that, where you get you in technical fouls or the referees can't take players going off on them because they don't feel the referees are doing a good job. Get the hell over it. That's what you get paid to do the job for.
I agree with you on that.
All right. Appreciate the
right.
call, Jonathan. Thank you. Let's go to Jonathan. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Jonathan. How are you?
How's it going, Stephen A.
Talk to
Man,
me.
I got a question for you. Do you think the LA Chargers should go after Bill Belichick?
Of course they should. Well, first of all, you need to fire your coach, okay?
Yep, most definitely.
Staley is not the answer. And by the way, Telesco, who's hired 3 different coaches over the last 10 years, he might need to go too. How are we going to say Staley needs to go, but we don't say anything about the GM that hired him? And has hired numerous coaches and none of them seem to work. How about that? So we got to take that into consideration. But the other thing that we have to do is this. Justin Herbert is a star caliber talent. He doesn't look that way this year, but he is a star caliber talent with 6'6" and that arm and what we've seen in terms of his abilities. Clearly, coaching is a problem. Nobody with half a brain would question the coaching brilliance of a Bill Belichick. We might question him as a GM picking players because he doesn't do a good job at that. But the players that he actually has and how he coaches them, this man is a phenomenal coach. He's a 6-time champion as a head coach, a 2-time champion as a defensive coordinator. That gives him 8 titles. 8 titles, man. This is who he is. And when you consider his level of greatness, there is no way around it. You have to sit up there and give him love, respect, and credit where it's due, and understand that if Bill Belichick was on a free agent market, there is no coach who should be more sought after. Now, you don't want to give him complete power and autonomy to pick the players because he's shown that he isn't great at that. But actually coaching and overseeing a franchise from a coaching perspective, there's none better. There's none better.
Yeah.
You do what you can to go get him. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. But I'm just worried that the Chargers are not going to give Bill Belichick the money. That's like
well, if they don't give him the money, hey, listen, man. Hey, how about this one? If they don't give him the money, go out and get a defensive-minded coach, let's say like a Rex Ryan, and let Kellen Moore coach the offense. How about that?
That would actually be good. We need
that's an alternative. It's not Bill Belichick, but it is a quality alternative that I think should be taken into consideration.
That's like the Chargers are soft as a team, man. They get bullied every game.
There you go. Appreciate the call.
Seen it, man.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Jonathan. Take care of yourself. Have a great weekend. That's it for today's episode of the Stephen A. Smith Show. I got to get on out of here. I got a lot of work to get into. I want to thank Ryan Garcia, the former lightweight champion of the world, for being on the show, blessing us with his time and his presence. I certainly wanted to attack the issues that needed to be attacked. Once again, our vice president. There's somebody that is a governor that is considered a more viable candidate than you. I mean, we got to get that together. You got to fix that. Plain and simple. There's a lot of stuff to get into. I'm looking forward to this weekend's game, the 49ers versus the Eagles, along with various others. Let's not sleep on the Texans and their matchup, C.J. Stroud and those boys, and who they're going up against this weekend. So we got to pay attention to all of that. That's something that I'm looking forward to as well. And, of course, my basketball, because I'll be in Vegas next week. That in-season tournament is going on, semifinals and the finals. I'll be there in Las Vegas, Nevada. But until then, this is the Stephen A. Smith Show signing off. Until next time, peace and love, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show.